All right, we are recording.
Okay.
So, hello, Jenny. It is so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, I'm Melissa, and as you know, I am a grad student in the master's program. So, I need to go over the limits of confidentiality. Thank you for filling out the informed consent form.
Hmm.
You also need to know that if I believe that anything you've shared in our time together, I mean, it is confidential between you
Hmm.
and I, but if there's anything that you share that makes me think you're going to harm yourself or could potentially harm someone else, then I will need to let my supervisor know about that. And in addition to anything that you tell me that you're okay with sharing, there may be a time where I have to share that as well, and I'll let you know that in advance.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Nope. Seems clear.
Okay, great. So I'd love to know what brought you in today. How can I be most helpful for you?
Yeah. I think what I'd like to talk about today is really my goals and my feelings around my weight and fitness level right now.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. So you want to talk about your goals around your weight and fitness level,
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. So, and I guess mostly it's just about, and this is, something that I'm really working on right now. But I have been, a personal trainer for actually almost 15 years. I teach yoga. I've been a very active person involved in health-oriented things. And I've found that in the past few years, especially as I enter into what is middle aged, um, I am gaining weight and having some, different emotions, and it may be hormonal related. Um, I turn 50 in March. So maybe that's triggering some things, some feelings. But I think my thing that um, has really been getting to me the most is that in my work in health coaching
Mhm.
and personal training and teaching yoga, although the personal training and yoga is kind of paused right now during the whole COVID thing. Um,
Great.
I feel like I'm my body how it is right now is contrasting with the work I do in a way that makes me not feel like I have as much integrity.
Oh, mhm.
Does that make sense? So, and it
Yeah.
also doesn't feel good. I'm used to being not this heavy, more fit, and
Mm,
so not having that be happening feels off, and it
yeah.
doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel like me, and I feel like I'm
Mm,
kind of hypocritical. So
mm,
that's kind of
mhm,
what I'm working on right
mhm,
now, is trying to figure out how to get back on track with
mhm.
weight challenges and fitness challenges right now.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, I hear, when there's like a couple things going on that I hear. One of them, right, is like the relationship to yourself, like how you're feeling, in your body and your weight and your fitness level. And then you're a health coach too, and there's this other aspect of yourself that I think you said feeling out of integrity. Around your work in relationship to how you're identifying with how you feel in your
Right.
weight and your fitness. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm curious, is there more, like, what is most prevalent right now for you that you would like to address in this session? Does one of those kind of hold
Hmm.
a little more weight? We can certainly touch on both. I'm just curious what you'd like to start with.
Hmm. Um, that's a good question. I guess maybe my feelings around my kind of that I'm a hypocrite if I'm struggling with these things, yet I'm in this kind of position of, especially with the training and the yoga instructing, kind of like this position of being an educator around it. So when I don't feel like I'm kind of following, I'm not, maybe not practicing what I preach kind of thing, if that
Mm.
makes sense. The
Yeah.
integrity, the piece around, the part around integrity, I feel like that maybe that would be the best thing to talk about.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you for clarifying that. So I'm curious, maybe tell me a little bit more. What does that mean to you, having integrity in your work, in your health coaching role?
Well, um, so I mean, of course, having integrity is like having the skills to be able to coach, having the experience, having the education, um, having kind of an acknowledgement. Like I just recently got the national board certificate. So all those things, I know that I'm a good coach, and I know that, but then there's also just this part of me, like logically I know
Mm.
that I have the integrity, but emotionally I don't know if does that make sense to kind of separate? I don't know. I can see it logically, but I don't feel it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes. Right. Okay. I think I'm following on this. So, like, you logically get you have integrity, you have these certifications, these recognitions, right? But you're not feeling it. So what that I'd love to like get a little more curious about that with you, if it's okay. Um,
Sure.
like when you say you're not feeling it, what does feeling it mean to you? How do you know when you
Mm.
feel it?
Well, uh, and I guess it's in particular to my own sense of where I think I should be with my weight and my kind of my level of being in shape, which I'm comparing to like 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Which actually, even just saying that out loud makes me kind of laugh at myself a little bit.
Yeah. I'm laughing with you, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That you seem to really like kind of like light up there with that like
Right.
recognition or
Right.
acknowledgement for yourself. I also
Yeah.
heard when you started to talk about what it feels like, or what lets you know what you're feeling in your body, how you know integrity feels,
Mhm.
um, that you went to, I think my mind tells me. So it makes me like, it just makes me really curious, because we are quick, right, to go to our mind about things, and to figure it out. But it seemed when you shared about that, kind of that on the one hand, you know logically what integrity is, but on the other hand, there's like a felt sense of it. If you're willing to, I'd love to like get a little more into that felt sense. Like
Hmm.
what does integrity feel like in your body? How do you know?
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, I think it feels really good. You feel like you have a high level of confidence. You, um, you're perceived as someone who, and this is probably a big kind of thing to notice, is when you have integrity, you and I don't know if that's necessarily even the right word. It was just the first word that came out.
Okay.
And it's definitely about not being hypocritical. So, and I definitely see two roles here, like the personal trainer expert role and the coaching role are two very different roles.
Okay.
In the personal trainer expert role, I see it as being much more of an issue because, I would be in more of an educator role, and so having integrity in that role is, having the education, the experience, the certification, the knowledge to be able to help someone with what they're doing. So in that personal training scope. And I do feel like, especially now, and granted, this is a different time for me in middle age, so things are just changing. Things are different. My metabolism is slowing down. It's easier to gain weight. I do think I'm moodier lately. And, all of that. And then you can throw the COVID twist into everything. So, but I feel like in that type of role, if I'm like having been gaining weight and I'm sitting here helping people trying to lose weight and, sharing with them ideas for how to do that, putting together plans to help them work out. And then I am not representing being successful in that myself. That's where the issue is for me.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, I guess it's a judgment of myself, really. It's me judging myself.
Judging yourself for not representing, if I'm hearing correctly, not representing what you're promoting, what you're educating people about.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And that leaves you feeling how about yourself?
Not practicing what I preach, not just not feeling as good about it. I don't.
When you, yeah. When you are someone that doesn't practice what you preach, what is that like for you?
It feels like kind of disconnected. Not, I mean, I don't really know of another way to put it, but it definitely feels like, who am I to, to, make this plan if, it's clear that like I'm not exactly, having success on my own. You know what I mean? Which I get it. We're all different people, right? Like, at each age there are different challenges and we each have different bodies and, our bodies have different chemistries and physiology and that can come into play. But I know all that. So we come back to the logic and the emotion again.
So it seems important to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, in order to educate people, to help them on their, whether it's health coaching or personal training, although I think we're talking a little bit more about health coaching now, if I'm correct.
You mean personal training?
Oh, personal training.
Yeah.
You, excuse me, thank you.
Yeah.
You want to be representing like the ideal image
right.
of a personal trainer in tip-top shape.
Well, and I wouldn't even say ideal tip-top.
Okay.
but it would be better than it is now. I do have to say though that as I say that,
Hmm.
um, there is this conflicting side to me that, so I have two voices. I have that voice, which I just described to you, which is like, come on, man, you need to step up your game. You need to represent what, doing these things looks like in a way that is socially acceptable. I'll just say that. There's that voice. And then there's the voice over here who's like, oh, brother, you're 49, you're married, you got your life going on. It's not like you care as much about, being a certain, thing, and why work so hard? Like this is where you're at. You're middle aged, So
Mhm.
there's kind of both those things going on.
Yeah. And so I'm really curious, Jenny, like what is it, because you're aware of these kind of two different voices, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
what is it that you would really like? Like, and how are you going to know when you're experiencing that?
Yeah. Um, well, I definitely think for me, um, health is a bigger motivator than looks for sure. And part of health for me is dropping some weight for health reasons. Um, so I would say coming into a healthier weight category would be ideal.
Okay.
And all of the great healthy things that happen when you
Yeah.
do that.
So,
Um,
yeah. So you're wanting to get into a healthy weight, like for health reasons, that's important.
yeah, yeah,
For yourself too.
yes, yes,
What are you currently doing that is working in that regard?
yeah, yeah. Well, for whatever reason, and maybe it was actually kind of doing the math on my 50th birthday. I was kind of like, let's see, how many months do I have? And I was like, I really don't want to be like how I am right now when I turn 50. I want to like feel better about where I am health-wise. So, in the past like 2 weeks, it hasn't been that long, but in the past 2 weeks, I've been all of a sudden I feel motivated. I'm like logging food, set my calories, logging food. I have a neighbor buddy who I'm doing it with.
Oh, great.
So we kind of check up on each other, and I have been challenged to move just since I'm working from home. Like you really have to be
Mm-hmm.
motivated to get. And so my thing is, I need to get my 10,000 steps. I have a treadmill that
Okay.
I have not been using, but I started using it in the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I came up with the realistic goal of I always watch this certain news show in the evening. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm just going to be on the treadmill. I'm just going to watch my show on the treadmill.
Great.
So
Okay.
I do that for an hour. So that's been happening, and I try to get out on little walks with the dog as well.
Mhm.
Um,
So you're, oh,
So the
sorry.
past
Continue.
2 weeks have really been a big change for me. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it was me doing the math on my 50th birthday that kind of triggered
Yeah.
it.
That's great though, because it sounds like you've got some structure that you've put in place for the past few weeks. The
Yeah,
logging your food and
yeah.
accountability with your neighbor, and you're on the treadmill at least an hour during your news show. How many times a week are you on the treadmill doing that?
Well, my goal is 5 times, Sunday through Thursday.
Okay.
Um, and let's see, I did perfect for the first 2 weeks, but this week I'm getting started out a little on the wrong foot because I didn't do it Sunday or yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm not feeling too bad about it because I've been really solid with it. Sunday I did a workout with my daughter, so at least that was happening.
Yeah.
But my
I'm
goal is actually to have a workout and the hour on the treadmill. The hour on the treadmill is just walking. It's not even hard.
okay.
It's just when I used to not be a virtual health coach, when I was, you
Mhm.
know, going to the Y to train and going to Boeing to be a health coach,
Mm.
I easily got my steps in my day.
Right.
So the whole
Right.
COVID thing really was threw a wrench in things, and
Absolutely.
it's weird for me to have to add that because it was always part of my routine before.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that it's like you've had to adapt and change things and it's been hard. And you've got this new routine as of 3 weeks ago that sounds
Yeah.
like is moving you in the direction that you want to go. I'm curious, is there anything you'd want to either add to it or anything else you need in place in order for your success to just continue moving in the direction you want?
um I'm not sure. I feel like I'm still in the new
Mm.
time period of my habits.
Yeah.
So like right now I've got this motivation, but I'm definitely anticipating, you know, the times where it will be harder. Um, so yeah, I guess just kind of figuring out what is it that I need when I really don't want to do it.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, when, and I definitely recognize in myself I have all or nothing thinking. So, like right now, I'm all into this plan and I'm killing it mostly.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I go into that's the all part. When I go into the non part, I mean, it can go sideways pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like eating, not eating all kinds of stuff and deciding not
Mhm.
to move and as much. And
Yeah.
so I am a little worried about that.
Yeah. I hear that concern around this, okay, I'm all or nothing thinking. Right now things are like going pretty well. I'm all in, like you said.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when it goes into the like not so well, it can really go off the rails. And
yeah.
that might be, this is so great, right? Because this is our first session. So I'm hearing it would be really great, in our next session, maybe we even dive into a little bit more about what that is like for you, when things don't keep going on the track that you want, what you can put in place to support yourself. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds good to chat about in the next one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing, what is important to you and, just hearing you share this desire, right, of being in integrity is important for yourself and also in your health coaching and your personal training, and how COVID has definitely thrown a wrench in all of this. You're having to relate to it all in a different way and kind of find your way to be more and more comfortable in your body and wanting to lose weight, both for you and to be, you didn't necessarily say this word, but well, you said educator more than role model, right? To be that
Mhm.
educator for the people you work with. So I just really appreciate the time that we have together. And if you need to check in with the next, week before our session about how your routine's going, please, send me a quick email and let me know.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anything else that you wanted to discuss today that would be helpful?
No, I feel like that's a good start.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. That's great. All right. Thanks, Jenny.
All right, thanks.